find this thing that was never really actually there.
Sonic was never good.
Yeah, it was.
This is an old clip from an IGN interview that was pretty infamous. IGN in general is one of the most infamous game critics because they're really bad at their jobs. They get giant paychecks from Activision. I'm not sure what they do nowadays. Back in the day, they just get giant paychecks from Activision and rate every mediocre Call of Duty sequel as like a 9 out of 10 game, which Call of Duty fans and everyone else thought was ridiculous because like the way released games, the Call of Duty franchise got bad, and they would hate on certain franchises like Sonic here. Well, hate, but they rate the games good, but then they're like, these guys are like having a debate, like, was there a good Sonic game? You idiots. You guys rated Pocket Edition a 10 out of 10. The game we're going to be talking about today. And this is the main reason why I'm bringing up IGN here, because this is the thing I think about the most. The fact that this game on the Neo Geo Pocket Color got a 10 out of 10. Well, a perfect score. Because guess what? This game is not a 10 out of 10 at all. Sonic Pocket Adventure, released on the elusive Neo Geo Pocket Color, came out the end of 1999 and is basically just a crappy reimagining of Sonic 2 with some adventure-style artwork. It was made by Neo Geo themselves, SNK. There's a weird rumor that this was made by Dimps, who would go on to make a bunch of Sonic game spin-off style games, but that's not true at all. Overall, the game is incredibly mediocre, to be honest. It's hard to get running since, you know, who the hell has a Neo Geo Pocket Color? And overall, I just don't think it's that great of a game. It's like, why am I playing this? It feels like a fan game, and not in a good sense, but like in a bad sense possible. It feels sluggish, it doesn't really control that well. It feels like I'm playing one of those Game Gear games again, except the art style is slightly different, but the art style doesn't really look good. Anyway, it is just a weird port of Sonic 2, but with some alternate editing. They didn't even make new soundtrack for the game. They just reused music from the Genesis titles, which is fine, but it's just so jarring when you'll hear random music that doesn't belong in a certain level. Why is Flying Battery playing during Knuckles boss fight? Anyway, let's just get this review over with so we can get to more interesting Sonic games, because, to be honest, this game is just so uninteresting. It's like, wow, we got Sonic Adventure and we get some new ideas. Here we're getting a retread of stuff we've seen in the past on a console that no one played. Anyway, let's take a look at the special stage. And what do you know, it's the exact same one from Sonic 2. I guess it's impressive they were able to get the same feel on the smaller handheld, but at the same time, I don't like the Sonic 2 special stage, so I really don't want to play it. And it's just as annoying as it was in the previous game, so let's just skip this crap. Anyway, first stage, not Green Hill Zone, not Emerald Hill Zone, or whatever it's trying to be, is Neo South Island Zone. I think that's where the idea of this being made by Dimps, because it's their first level, it's the first game they made for Sonic Advance is called Neo Green Hill Zone, but they don't really have nothing in common. Neo, Neo Geo. Does anyone even play like Neo Geo games? Like I have like one Wii game that had a collection of stuff that only lasted for one volume. I wonder where the second volume is. Well, there is no second volume. Anyway, the stage has Buzzer, Coconuts, and Masher. No new enemies. Here's the boss of the stage. Doesn't have a unique name. Just Eggman of a hammer. Another reason people probably thought it was similar to the Dimps made it, because one of the first Eggman bosses in Sonic Advance has a hammer. But nope, this is a coincidence. They might have looked at this game. Overall, Eggman looks like he does in the classic world, so it's not like they even use the adventure art style there. This boss fight is actually kind of annoying, but as you can see, if we get the right pattern, it's not too difficult. Also, for some reason, you can run right through this egg capsule, which is actually kind of weird. And there's all the weird animals that are disappearing into the sky. Secret Plant Zone. Now, I think I can understand why people thought this was made by Dimps, because some of the level titles are similar. I think they just copied some of this stuff from here, but actually made a unique Sonic game. Secret Plant Zone looks kind of similar to a certain other plant zone, being a chemical plant. Yeah, this is what this is, chemical plant, except, you know, not as fun. There's actually a lot of bombless pits and stuff like that you didn't see in Chemical Plant Zone. I think there was at one tiny section of the original Chemical Plant, but other than that, the stage is just kind of, you kind of feel like, oh yeah, this is not the same at all. I mean, if this is on the Game Gear, it'd be fine, but getting the Neo Geo Pocket to run is kind of annoying, and let alone playing this, it feels like, why am I doing this? Anyway, this zone has one enemy, the Spiny, which is also from Chemical Plant, so nothing new to see there. So the boss fight, like I said, doesn't have an original name. Eggman shoots a red and blue switch platforms and you gotta jump on them and bounce on him, and he shoots projectiles at you. For some reason, his under his mustache is yellow. I guess his lips, or he was drinking some lemonade or something like that, or maybe something else. But who the heck cares? Except without any enemies, because there's really no enemies. I know the original Casino Night had very little enemies, but here we're featuring quite literally none. Final boss of Cosmic Night Zone is pretty much the same as Cosmic Casino. Why did I say Cosmic Night? Cosmic Casino is kind of similar to the one that we've seen in the other one, where Eggman's bouncing all around, except he's not shooting anything down, so he's got to jump up and bounce on him. It's pretty basic, nothing much else to see here. Zone is Aquatic Relic Zone. Aquatic Relic Zone is just Aquatic Ruin Zone, in case you're wondering. It has pretty much the same enemies too, the Chop Chop Grounder and Wisps. So nothing new here to see here, but it's just, you know, worse in every possible way. And then we fight Knuckles here, which of course we're playing the wrong Flying Battery music here for some reason. The boss fight is incredibly similar to the one in Sonic 3. In case you're wondering why we're fighting Knuckles, well, I can't tell you because there's no story to this game, so don't even worry about it. And we do get a little cutscene, Knuckles crying, and Sonic giving him, here's your emerald, and then classic Eggman with his yellow lips decides to pick it up. Like, I don't know what's up with that sprite, it looks really weird. The next zone is Sky Chase, so basically what we've already seen in Sonic 2, but, you know, just a different version. Really, there's nothing to see here. I guess the tornado looks kind of similar to how it did in Adventure, the first tornado, but whatever. And pretty much the Sky Chase has all the same enemies as Sky Chase did in Sonic 2. The Nebula and Valkyrie, just no Turtleoids, which were my favorites, so I'm kind of mad they got rid of my favorite enemy from Sky Chase. And after that is Aerobase Zone, which you can tell what zone this is. It's Wing Fortress Zone. And yeah, it's basically all there's to say about this. Just, you know, as annoying as the other version of the stage is. More platforming over bombless pits and stuff like that, except, you know, on a worse or hardware. Like, seriously, who the heck owned a Neo Geo Pocket? I guess they got some money for them. Like, okay, here's Sonic and put it on your console. Just make sure it advertises our adventure game, so call it Pocket Adventure. That's about it. There's like barely any information on this game, so it doesn't even matter. This game wasn't even featured on the Sonic Encyclopedia. I'll talk about this later, but might as well mention it now. I think SNK owns the rights to this game still, or something like that, but they can't do anything about it because Sega also owns the rights, and they're not. Sega's like says they can't even mention or talk about this game at all. So they can mention games that had actual legal battles around, like Sonic Chronicles in that book, but they couldn't mention this game because of some weird thing. Not that it matters, because this game isn't really that interesting at all. But I thought that was just that's the most interesting thing about it, is that this is like the one game that Sega cannot mention at all legally. They're like, don't even speak its name, apparently, according to Ian Flynn, which I thought was pretty funny. At the end of this zone, we fight the Mecha Sonic from Sonic 2, or the Silver Sonic, depending on how you want to call this guy. And yeah, that's basically all there really is. It's mostly the same as the one in Sonic 2, except for the fact you have actual rings to fight him this time. So, whoop-de-doo. Angel Zone. I don't know what that means. What do you mean, Angel? What are you talking about, Angel? There's nothing Angel about this. It's just Scrap Brain Zone and Metropolis Zone combined together. Lovely game. This zone has an Astron, Shellcracker, and Slicer. Sound familiar? Yeah, it's because it's Metropolis Zone. I guess it is just Metropolis Zone. For some reason, the background kind of reminded me of the original Sonic 1 End Zone, Scrap Brain Zone. But yeah, it's basically the same zone as before. Whoop-de-doo. Anyway, in Act 2, Sonic will look up and see Eggman actually looking like his new design. Like, wow, that's pretty neat. But other than that, he gets pulled down a little chute there, and then you're on to Act 2. So yeah, it is kind of weird to see Eggman in his newer design doing similar classic Eggman designs, but whatever. Here's the boss, and yeah, it looks like, what is this? Like, what kind of design is that? Well, Eggman is going to shoot projectiles at you and drop like napalm bombs, it looks like, at Sonic. You gotta bounce your way up and then hit him. It's not a bad design boss, actually. It's similar to the Hydro City boss fight, so that's not too bad. It's a little difficult, but it's not horrible. The next zone, or basically the final boss area, is Last Utopia Zone, which is just the final area from Sonic 3. Eggman's got this thing called the Last Utopia boss. He's got a Chaos Emerald, I guess, or maybe that's the Master Emerald, I don't really know. It probably is the Master Emerald based on that previous cutscene, but who the heck cares? Anyway, he's going to charge at us, and that's about it. It's about as scary as it looks, which meaning not at all. So again, Tails will catch Sonic, and the Chaos Emeralds, I guess, will fly away. I guess they didn't really like Sonic that much. And when you defeat this and you have all your Chaos Emeralds, Eggman will just repeat the Sonic 3 boss fight verbatim in Chaotic Space Zone, where he just flies backwards and you gotta fight him as Sonic and do the exact same thing he did in Sonic 3. After that, we get Sonic 2 style cutscenes where the animals are celebrating down below with a butterfly, and yeah, I guess that's the lesson. Knuckles got the Master Emerald back, which is now a pint size, and that's all there really is to say about Sonic Pocket Adventure. That's the end. I'm not too enthused about it because instead of getting anything really new, we got repeats from other games at this point. Like, sure, those are great, but at this point, we're in a new era. Let's get some, actual new stuff going on here, rather than just the same thing over and over again, but worse in every possible way, on a handheld that no one bought. So overall, I think Sonic Pocket Adventure is very mediocre. It has interesting elements, but it doesn't play very good at all. Sonic Pocket Adventures was only released from the Neo Geo Pocket, and here's the price tag for it. A loose price of $35, not awful, but complete price of $100. It's actually not that expensive in comparison to how obscure this console is, so if you have a console, this game isn't too far off for a loose price at least. Though if you want the console, it's gonna cost you $100. And it doesn't even look good. Like, that's an ugly ass console. Sorry. There is very little to say about Sonic Pocket Adventure, mostly because there's nothing really to say about the entire game. There isn't a whole lot it gives you. It's just a retread with adventure art slapped onto it, which is fine and all, but for an actual 2D style adventures, basically, I can't even speak, but for you want like a 2D Sonic gameplay with adventure art style, well, you only have to wait 2 years for an actual good one on a console that a lot of people own, that being the Game Boy Advance, and the game being Sonic Advance. So overall, I don't recommend playing Pocket Adventure. It's a D tier game. IGN can go suck its own stud or whatever it is, because they suck. They have terrible reviews, but you already know that. Have you seen their Sonic Unleashed gameplay? I know this is all old stuff, but still, people need to be reminded of how terrible they are at playing games, or getting the wrong people to play certain games. You don't get people who play FPS games to play platformer games if they don't play them. You understand what I'm trying to say? Anyway, Pocket Adventure is not a game I recommend playing, because one, you have to emulate it pretty much entirely unless you have an actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Pocket or the game itself, because Sega's never re-released it, and it sounds like they're never going to re-release it, and honestly could not shed a tear over it. It would be interesting if they did, because this game is a little interesting, but at the same time it's not that interesting at all. It's kind of like in a weird areas. That's why it's a D tier. 10 out of 10? No, not at all.